Good evening, Mr. Bond fans, and welcome once again. It'll come as absolutely zero surprise to regulars on this channel when I say that I'm actually a really big fan of Pierce Brosnan's third Bond adventure, The World Is Not Enough. I consider it to be really quite underrated, and particularly I absolutely adore the pre-credit sequence featuring that fantastic boat chase. The entire pre-credit sequence around the Thames is one of the greatest action scenes in the series, and fans of the film will of course know that the sequence, when originally written and conceived, was not intended to be the pre-credit sequence, but when test audiences were disappointed with the sequence in Bilbao being the great opening to the latest Bond adventure, edits were made to give us the longest but most action-packed pre-credit sequence in Bond history as of time of recording. So the Bond series is usually quite sparing with what deleted material from the shoot it allows to be on the home media releases, but I was so jazzed when The World Is Not Enough Ultimate Edition DVD was released with a bunch of deleted scenes, and particularly a few pertaining to the opening of the movie. There's more in the preamble up to the action with Bond at MI6, and then there's even more to the action itself. I think it's always really interesting to look at what could have been when it comes to an iconic film series like James Bond. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch the deleted material and we're going to talk about some of the differences and changes that the filmmakers made along the way. In the first extended clip, we have some extra footage of Bond's initial meeting with M at MI6 in London. In the movie, you'll recall that this is just as Bond has returned from Spain with the money belonging to a Sir Robert King, a good friend of M. The deleted material picks up just after King leaves the office. Okay, so here we go.
We read law at Oxford together. I always knew he'd conquer the world. Care for a drink?
Yes, thank you.
He's a man of great integrity.
Who buys stolen reports for £3 million?
Well, contrary to what you may believe, 007, the world is not populated by madmen who can hollow out volcanoes, fill them with big-breasted women, and threaten the world with nuclear annihilation.
It only takes one.
Okay, so I absolutely love that line. It's obviously a reference to Bond's past with You Only Live Twice, but it is quite a wordy bit of dialogue and perhaps a bit too self-referential for the series at this particular point. I think we'll get dialogue more akin to that in the Craig era, actually. Like, we get quite a bit of that with Q in Skyfall when he's like, oh, were you expecting an exploding pen and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's notable because World Is Not Enough was the first Bond film to be co-written by Neil Purvis and Robert Wade, who would write on all the movies up through the Craig era. So I find it interesting that I'm assuming that line belonged to them, and they were clearly looking to bring in some of that self-referential stuff from the very first Bond film they were on, even pre-reboot.
Any leads on the sniper?
No, the hotel room was clean. Professional job. Is that the stolen report?
Yes, classified from the Russian Atomic Energy Department. Assessing the Millennium Bug threat to the nuclear arsenal in the former Soviet Republic.
What would King want this right?
Well, he was led to believe the document was a secret report, identifying the terrorists who'd attacked a new oil pipeline he's building in the region. When he discovered it concerned nuclear weapons, he turned it over to me immediately.
But it doesn't exactly explain why someone would want me out of their office alive.
Okay, so this whole dialogue with Bond and M is, it's amazing how much slower this scene is. To say it is just a few extra lines of dialogue here and there. Obviously, I think we're going from kind of like a work print edit here, so the pacing isn't quite there, but it is surprising how many pauses there are in there. Anyway, on we continue. Oh, there's something in my whiskey.
King, the money.
Moneypenny, stop King.
I love that. Moneypenny, stop King is so kind of subdued. Obviously, they kept the Moneypenny, stop King line in the film. Not that it really amounts to much there, and nor does it amount to much here. We do get this extra shot of Samantha Bond, which is really nice. But I don't know who she's calling here. I don't think she has any impact on the rest of the scene. Always nice to see more Samantha Bond as Moneypenny, but I would have kind of loved it if she'd have been running through the corridors of MI6 with Bond. Oh, Sir Robert. This way, sir. Okay, I need to hear that again. for whatever reason, they decided to leave Bond swearing in there. I don't know if that was just Pierce Brosnan on the set. Maybe he took a wrong step or something. Or maybe that's intended as a reference to a past film in the series too.
Holy shit.
Bond is really touching all the walls in this sequence. He's like... around every corner he goes around.
We haven't finished checking it yet.
Okay, so this guy, this is interesting. Obviously, this guy's part in this film was cut from the final film, but he does eventually get his moment to shine in a Bond film as he goes on to appear in Casino Royale. So, bad news is, dude, you got cut from this film, but hey, you'll be in one that people like a lot more in 7 years.
Well, I'm sure it's all there. If you can't trust MI6, who can you trust?
That's a strangely villainous delivery from King. I mean, obviously that line isn't in the film either, but he's like delivering it like, you know, with eyebrow raised and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if maybe that was supposed to be some kind of a red herring to suggest that he was a part of the villain's scheme or something. But yeah, doesn't portray Mr. King as a very nice man.
King, stop! Stop!
Stop! Oh, Pierce. Now, interesting how one shot can kind of make all the difference with Pierce with having to get his card out to get through the doors. Obviously, that isn't in the film. He just kind of opens them up and runs through. Okay, so that's it for the deleted scene leading up to the action. So, honestly, I'm kind of a big geek for anything that happens in and around MI6 in the Bond films during the Brosnan era in particular. So, I love getting the chance to spend a bit of extra time there. Obviously, we're watching a rough cut here and with no music and sound effects and so on. So, it does feel slow and maybe, you know, M's lines were all a bit too much. Maybe Brosnan left too many germs over the building with all of his tapping around. But I enjoyed that an awful lot nonetheless. And now we're going to move on into the extended boat sequence. So, here goes, folks. Okay. So we're still in the film footage, and now we're in something very different. Okay, so the music here is just David Arnold's track from the film, but for the most part there's going to be not much in the way of sound effects and the like to what we're going to see. Ah, okay, so this is new. And they're already at Tower Bridge. Interesting how there's not that great shot of them going past the Houses of Parliament. I wonder if that came later. I know that they'll have had to get some kind of special permission to shoot there, so... Oh, I love that the police are after them. So this obviously isn't in the film. They have an excellent response time, much like they do in Spectre, like when Blofeld's helicopter goes down on the bridge and they're like already taping it off like 30 seconds later. I love these shots of Pierce in the, like, actually in the thing. They're fantastic. Oh, nice overhead shot. I really liked that. Yeah, very nice. It's a shame the quality of this isn't up to snuff, because it's quite... I guess this will have been work print. There's probably no... Oh, this is new. More pedestrians. Yeah, all you guys out on your Thames river cruise, you're gonna get splashed. It feels like there's a lot less sense of geography and purpose to this. The police are just a completely unnecessary third element here. Okay, she's gonna very casually go to the back of her boat to fire. Okay, shooting. Okay, and this is, yep, that's the great bit from the film. Barrel roll. Oh wow, she has extra weapons. This is a rather stocked speedboat. But yeah, maybe a bit much. I think the really great thing about this sequence is, and we discussed this on a podcast, James Bond and Friends, that I was on recently. We were watching this through, talking about the sense of geography that the sequence actually has in the film. Like, even though they get from the Houses of Parliament to Tower Bridge in, like, you know, a matter of seconds, where obviously you wouldn't be able to do that in real life, it nonetheless follows, like, a very clear route. Here, I do feel slightly lost. You can tell that this is a rougher edit. And he doesn't do the tie thing! How can you not do that? The little adjusting tie thing that he does in the film. God, these police are still on their tail, seriously. Never quite understood why he doesn't just go underneath the fire again, here. I guess the wreckage would be down there, so it might be difficult to maneuver around. And then we wouldn't be able to have all this really cool stuff that's about to happen where he goes up on the streets and such. Ah, the clampers. And that was a couple of alternate shots. I don't even notice there's a kayaker there. Brilliant. Okay, I know we're coming up to a couple of bits now that I am going to say that I'm quite glad they left out of the film. When are we getting to it? Oh, I like that Brosnan seems to be, like, quite enjoying himself there. I think, anyway. I don't quite understand why he's, like, so, like, police are on my tail. This is so funny. Like, I mean, you work for the same government they do. Then he gets his parachute out. And blinds. Oh, great. The dog. The dog. Of course there is just a cute puppy in the middle of the road for everyone to swerve around. And of course that puppy's going to run up to the police car and just do absolutely nothing. What the hell is that sequence about? My goodness. Yeah, I can see why this would be cut. First of all, Bond, like, having a grand old time laughing at the police who are quite rightly following him, like, what the hell is happening here, dude? Like, but then for him to, I'm not sure if he knowingly activates the parachute on this thing, but or if it's just an accident, it's really unclear. And then to come across this cute little puppy and then just yeah, that's really stupid. That's some, like, Roger Moore level chase nonsense, which I would probably love if it was filmed a bit better. I just, yeah, again, I know that we're watching a rough version here, but some of these shots are really clunky. On we go. Okay, going through the fish market. So all this, there's much more of him on land than what we see in the final film. Here we go. I know. Yes, the waiter. Oh, is that all you're tipping me? God. Okay, so this is interesting. Presumably the people in the Bentley tipped the waiter really badly, but Bond crashes into the taxi for some reason. Okay, so I just need to look at that again, because that is such a missed opportunity. Nice little product placement for Jacob's Creek, though, looking at this. Okay, so the waiter's like, tip. Then waves goodbye to the people in the Bentley. And then Bond swoops around the corner, and the obvious gag is that he crashes into the Bentley, and then it's kind of penance for tipping really poorly. But instead, he's going to crash into just some random taxi, and then he's going to make the waiter's life even worse by crashing into his restaurant. Okay. More of him crashing through the restaurant. Okay, I just had to stop again because I like the drunk guy at the bar, like you trying to get the soda, the water thing. That's pretty great. The only thing this is missing though is that guy should have like obviously like turned around, seen the the destruction and Bond flying through, and then looked at he should have done a double take at the glass. Obviously, that's how these things go in Bond. How big is this restaurant? How many rooms is he going to go flying through? And then finally we are back on the Thames at the Millennium Dome. Okay. At this point, possibly caused about equal damage to what the villain has actually caused during this entire chase. Certainly endangered more lives than she has, God. Oh, it's a very slow and clunky stop. Okay. And then it blows up. Okay, well that obviously needed tightening. Shit, she shot the guy. Okay, she obviously doesn't shoot the bloke in the film. That's quite weird because we don't often see innocent people like that dying in this era of Bond anyway. That would have been quite jarring had that been left in the film. Listen to me. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. God, his accent's really all over the place. Huh, no police helicopters yet.
You think so?
You think so? Yeah, there's not really the same sense of urgency as when the police helicopters are kind of moving in. There were some shots where it looked like the actors should be reacting to some police helicopters, so maybe they just didn't have that shot when they were doing this particular assembly. Her rather lifeless, you think so, is not as impactful as in the film where she's like, not from him, and then she blows herself up. Okay. Not as good as what we get in the film, is it? As much as I like a lot of that, the more preamble sort of stuff with Bond running around MI6 and stuff, I kind of like that, and I've always enjoyed action, sort of like when it comes to the safe place. Like MI6 is the safe place and it's secure and Bond is always safe there, and I like it when the action penetrates that bubble. So I kind of dig all that stuff. When it comes to the boat chase itself, I don't think there's anything in there that would improve on what is in the final film. And that's why it's all deleted, Calvin. The stuff with the waiter is all good and well shot, and, I don't know why Bond isn't bumping into the Bentley, but that's fine. The stuff with the dog is kind of, yeah, a bit too much. Unless the dog had done a double take at Bond as he went past, then I don't think it's, terribly necessary to have that in the film, but interesting to know that the police were originally in there, and these things, like I'm sat here being like, oh yeah, whatever, keep it out of the film. Obviously this stuff takes a lot to organize and choreograph, and someone had to bring in that trained puppy and have it sit there, and everyone had to wait for it to sit still so they could get the damn shot to blah blah blah. So the amount of work and effort that goes into this, I appreciate coming to look at this now as like a Bond fan to kind of see how things might have been a bit different. But at the end of the day, kind of glad that we have the product that we actually have instead of the cute puppy. So there we go. That was fun to revisit this footage in a more detailed way. As always, really interested to know what you guys think about the subject that we've discussed today. So please do let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Is there anyone out there who would have loved to have that, that puppy dog sequence kept in the film? Please do let me know. And please subscribe to this channel if you've enjoyed this video and you want to stay up to date with future Bond-related content that I make on this channel. It's always really, really appreciated, just to see an extra subscriber, an extra like, an extra comment from someone. It's all really nice and appreciated, so thank you very much. Also below, you can find links to my various social media pages. There's my Facebook page, my Twitter page, and my Patreon page, where you can head if you want to find details on about how you can support this channel even more than just by subscribing, liking, commenting, which is all super supportive and helpful and lovely, so thank you very much. All that being said, until next time, Bond fans, so long for now.